What is good? The O Show. Not fuck around here. Get right into it. It's time for some Dungeon World. Glad you're here. Hope your week started well. Let me pull up one thing real quick here I know I'm gonna need. That's the old name generator. There we go.
Wild animals? I'm like, I don't know if it's going to count anyway.
Nah, domesticated. What's up?
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Shut up. Greetings, players. How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
You gotta pretend like we weren't just talking. Anyway, we're gonna get started here. Don't have the stream open, or you'll ruin the surprises for yourself.
The tab protocol.
Well, you can just don't look at it with your eyes. This is our first session of the Saga Broken Blades. Last session was character creation and a small scene. If you want to get caught up on that, you're just going to have to listen to it. But I do have a synopsis there for you players to read if you don't quite remember. That is a bit visible to you guys, right?
Episode 0, Justice.
Cool, yeah. So that was the pilot. Our session is going to be beginning right at the top of that scene, right at the exact moment it cut off at. The teaser begins with that scene. I did want to just show off this lovely map that Lewis has provided us here. But we'll... here's my question. When we go back to Hakes here... I guess we just want to stick with this, right?
Sure.
I made a place where we could do like a more overhead tactical thing if you guys want to, but it's up to y'all as the players if we when and if we switch to that. But we've got Lewis's sketch from last time here, so might as well use it. So the first episode begins with this scene. It's a cool evening in spring. We're here at Hakestead, which is outside of Odstad. Edda had just delivered some swift justice to Foxy, I believe it was, an alleged pig stealer who she had determined to be evil. Hake, Oscar, and Sigmund were arguing over a supposedly poached elk that was being dragged through Hake's field during this mess. And Bruce had just dragged Hedri back into Edda's vicinity after Hedri had bolted for it, and Oscar took him down with an arrow to the calf. And the last thing that Foxy mentioned before he met his end was that the longhouse here was on fire. Now, before I ask what do you do, to remind you as the players to remember the ways you can earn experience points in Dungeon World. Remember that the only way to get experience points are by failing rolls, are by fulfilling your alignment at least once during the session, are by resolving your bonds with other players, and by being able to answer my questions at the end of the session in the affirmative. Those are the only ways you can earn XP. So what do you do?
Bruce is charging over to the longhouse, and he's going to burst through the door.
Bruce charges over to the longhouse. Bursts through the door. He sees a cluttered and in need of a woman's touch longhouse, filled with furniture and half-eaten plates of food and things of that nature. The back is beginning to fill with rolling, billowing black smoke, and you can see the flickering of the flames licking up the sides of the thatch. What do you do? And that what do you do is addressed to everybody, not just Bruce.
I think Sigmund would go and try and find some water nearby. Maybe see if there's a well on the farm.
Oscar also runs to the barn, searching for or looking inside to see if there are any animals that are still in pens or cages.
All right. Oscar runs over to where Bruce is. Meanwhile, Sigmund runs in search of some sort of water to try to use to douse the flames. Think about that one then. Yeah. Let's deal with Oscar first. Oscar's searching specifically for animals that might be in danger. And though it's not depicted necessarily on this drawing, as Oscar is turning his wild, wilderness-trained eyes on the scene, he notices that indeed, well, you could put that chicken coop on fire if you want to. Maybe that'd be good.
All of a sudden, it bursts into flames.
Sure, but presumably elsewhere on the land, because imagine Hake's vast rolling hills. He likes to sprawl out. He wouldn't want to have all of his buildings necessarily clustered too close together just in case something like this were to occur. Though, so clearly not lit from this fire, other barns, coops are starting to smoke and flicker as well. As Oscar's running in, there's definitely animals in danger. You can start to hear goats squealing in fear, pigs as well. But meanwhile, Sigmund sees a well not so far away, but he also sees, lit by the moon and the stars, two figures huddled near the well. You can't quite make out just who they are in the low light, though they are quite bulky. What do you do?
I run towards the well, and I'm just ignoring the two figures. I'm just trying to get to the well, see if there's a bucket in there. Hopefully, by showing that I'm agitated, that I'm in a rush and there's an emergency, these figures will leave me alone, so I'm just going to go straight for that water and ignore them.
Sigmund runs toward the well, heedless of the figures, making no attempt to cover his approach. The two figures stand up from their crouching and reveal themselves to be savage, bloodthirsty orcs. They're wearing man bones lashed to themselves. They're painted in some sort of unspeakable yellow concoction across their faces. They have rusted, jagged blades made of some scrap. And they're smiling at the fresh meat that has just been delivered to the well. What do you do?
I would like to study the interior of the longhouse and attempt to roll some dice.
All right, so let's imagine this as far as a television show goes. So our opening scene, Edda had just beheaded Foxy. We see flames starting to lick up off the longhouse. Bruce runs over, kicks in the door, sees what I described. Meanwhile, Oscar runs over to where the animals are. He can already hear them howling and screaming because it looks like more fires have been set. Meanwhile, Sigmund has run off. And you imagine this scene, it's much more quiet than the other scenes. You don't have the flickering of the flames. It emphasizes that Sigmund's alone. He spots the figures crouched by the well. Kind of shakes his head a little and just keeps going. And then when he gets up to the well, they stand and reveal themselves to be the orcs I described. Then, cut. Bruce is... Describe what he's doing.
Bruce is going to be like rummaging through, trying to find anything really of value that he needs to get out in case the longhouse burns. Anything that Hake would want to save.
So Bruce is flipping over chairs and tables and knocking things off and opening chests
where
and
is Hake
tossing
for
everything out. That's a good question. Are you trying to do a move, Bruce, or are you legitimately just looking to see what could be inside of here that could potentially be a problem if it burns?
I'm attempting to discern realities.
So in that case, then let's talk about this move a little bit for the folks. Discern realities is the basic move that Bruce is attempting here. Get down to it here. Maybe it's not on here.
Would you like me to read it?
I'd like to have it up. I'm trying to pull it up here. Oh, here it is. Moves. I'm just stupid. Perfect.
Yeah, it takes me a bit to find it too.
All right. I just want to have it up on the screen here. So here is the move that Bruce is doing here. He's closely studying a person or situation, and I kind of like this more haphazard studying. It's kind of interesting because Bruce is a fighter, so his close studying, I guess, means rummaging through shit and knocking it over. So he's going to roll wisdom, 2d6 plus his wisdom modifier, and I think he's trying to fail here.
Or critical succeed.
No such luck there. So as a result of rolling a 12, I like that I'm saying no such luck that you didn't fail. 10 plus is really all he needed. He's going to get to ask me 3 questions from the list right here. And it's his responsibility to remember that he gets to take +1 forward. That means +1 to his rolls when he is acting on the answers. So what questions would you like to ask me, bud?
What here is useful or valuable to me?
And I have to answer honestly, right?
Correct.
Hake have. The most useful or valuable thing that Hake has in his longhouse, you can see, is inside of the chest you just rummaged through, a chest that Hake was using to set food on and things while he sat in his smoking chair. You're tossing out clothing and shawls and blankets and winter things stored because it's springtime. And at the very bottom, you find Hake's lockbox, which you assume is going to have some quantity of gold or silver inside. You got 2 more questions, Bruce.
What here is not what it appears to be?
Allow me a moment to ponder that one. I love that the drawing changes as we talk too. Lewis is the greatest. Is that Hake right there? Because that's 100% in my imagination what he's doing. He's just like, ah! Beautiful. What here is not as it appears to be? You also, let me think about this for just a second. I'm pretty sure I know. What here is not appears to be? Hang on. While Bruce is scavenging and searching, he also, through one of the longhouse windows, and by that I mean simply a hole, no glass out here, Bruce sees the telltale top knot of an orc's filthy, encrusted dreadnoughts, and knows that this is no mere work of pig stealing. So I'm answering your question that what is not as it seems to be is obviously the true perpetrators of what's going on here. One of which lies beheaded out in the field. His blood nurturing Hake's next crop. You got one more question, Bruce?
I have a quick question. Did you say like the top knot is in like it's hiding somewhere, or is in like left behind?
No, like he saw his head pass by the window.
Oh, okay, I missed that part.
There was like an orc crouched down, creeping by.
I'm going to ask what happened here recently, even though now I kind of know. Looking for like what started the fire. If I see if it was an internal fire, like something Hake was in on, or external.
Bruce, having been on many a Vic, is no stranger to the telltale, multiple, separated, set fires of intentional arson. The orcs are trying to burn Hake out here. Boom. We snap.
To Edda.
What's Edda doing?
Hydri's laying face down in the field where we've dragged him back. It appears that he's dying on his last leg, Bedumtish. Edda flips him over and tells him that if you want to live, I can fix that wound in your leg, but you have to tell me everything you know about what is going on here. And I am attempting to parlay.
It's what it seemed like to me. So Edda is parlaying with Hydri. How it works is she has leverage on him, meaning he's bleeding out from an arrow through the leg, and he would like to not do that. And so she can make that not happen, but she's telling them that he has to spill the beans on what's going on. So Edda is going to roll charisma here.
I think parlay's intelligence, isn't it?
No.
So I'm just rereading it for myself then. Because obviously I didn't read it right.
No worries.
Okay, spouting lore is intelligence.
That is correct.
Okay, that's where I got confused. Wow.
Ooh. So whenever a character
Experience.
rolls a fail, which is a 6 or below, they do get to mark 1 experience point, but then something bad happens. I get to make a move. Hydri glares up into Edda's face where she's crouched over him and says, "Is that justice in these lands now? Holding my own life over my head? I'd rather bleed out and eat and meet my ancestor." Spits in her face. And his spit...
Has blood?
No, there's no reason for that. I would have done it.
I guess not.
Sigmund, what are you doing? And first, imagine this scene. Cut, cut, it's orc time. What are you doing?
I stop in my tracks immediately. I do a 180 and I run back to scream at either Edda or Bruce for help because I know that I can't take those orcs by myself.
Sigmund hears behind him the expected and unmistakable thudding of excited bear orc feet, as well as their war cry coming behind him. It echoes across the field. Sigmund is screaming for help, running back toward where he sees now Edda crouched over Hydri. He sees Hake running around, hands in the air. He doesn't see Bruce, for he is inside the longhouse. He doesn't see Oscar, for he is off attempting to rescue some animals. So he runs straight for Edda. Oscar, what do you do?
You said the barn is on fire, or was it the house?
Uh,
Or is there animals in the?
Everything is on
the
fire.
longhouse is on fire. But you're running toward a space that has chicken coops and barns and so forth. Pigs, goats, all howling in fear, and they have all been separately lit as well. What do you do?
Volan and I act together. I assume there's locks on these gates or pins or whatnot. So I attempt to use break them open with my spear and have Volan herd them and gather them outside in the open space away from the fires.
1 second, I'm looking for Volan's info on your sheet.
It's on the sheet under Animal Companion
Got it.
on the main page.
I just wanted to see what moves he had again. He does fight monsters and everything cool. So Oscar is running with his wolf loping at his side, and indeed, with the rise of thieves in recent years, Hake does have some crude locks on his pig pens, on his coop, etc. Oscar can break through these with his spear, but remember, his spear is a lashed together, made in the moment thing, and it's not going to stand up to all that punishment. So you can bust them open and free the animals, but it's going to cost you your spear until you have downtime to create another one. Worth it, Oscar?
How many pins are in here, or wherever I'm at?
Enough.
I know.
I don't know.
I think Hake would
3
be
or 4,
appreciative.
something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. All right, yeah, I think Hake would be appreciative if all his livestock were.
So
safe.
Hake is the one you're worried about here, not the animals.
Oh, the animals are of course priority. That's why I ran for them. I'm sure I can get something out of it from Hake.
Oh, that's what you're hoping. I see. Oscar's a greedy bastard. So he's like, I gotta save these animals. And he's like, maybe Hake will hook it up if I do.
Well, Hake is just trying to take half my deer that I brought.
Look, maybe Hake's just trying to get what he can get, you know? Maybe it's just how the world goes around.
Sounds like we're all about the same person then.
So, oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Liz. Do you destroy your spear in freeing these animals?
I do.
Okay.
So without a second thought, I should say.
Alright, this is an open. What do you do? Who's jumping in?
This
Or no, go, Bruce.
scene's gonna pan back to Bruce, who's grabbing the lockbox. He's looking over at the top knot. And he's gonna slam through the wall and get the drop on that orc outside.
So Bruce first, without a second thought, is ripping off Hake's money box.
Oh, he's gonna get it out of the building before it burns down.
Yeah, of course. Then he wants to smash right through that wood and thatch wall and get him a little bit of orc. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, that's not like a spooky fighter move you're trying to use or anything. That's just a really cool hack and slash, right?
It's a spooky fighter move called Bend Bars and Lift Gates. Whenever you use pure strength to destroy an inanimate obstacle, roll plus strength.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that move up for the class here. So that's one of my favorite fighter moves because it's straight up named after old school here. Bend bars, lift gates. You roll strength to destroy an inanimate object. See him, Bruce.
Now that's +3 because I have +2 from strength and +1 for acting on the discern realities.
Glad you remembered. I knew this was going to happen. I was like, one of these dice is going to be a 1. I could feel it.
Good thing you got that +3.
So with an 8, he gets to choose 2 off the 7 to 9 list here of conditions. He's still successful in busting through the wall, but
it doesn't take a very long time, and nothing of value is damaged.
very good. The orc savage that was creeping around the longhouse, firing it, just makes a frog like of surprise when this illustrious gentleman, Bruce Jotunsen, one big motherfucker himself, comes collapsing through the longhouse wall. I feel like you need to roll a hack and slash into this.
Absolutely. Would I get the +1 for the discern realities on that hack and slash?
I think it's fair enough, yeah. Bruce is no stranger to encountering orcs out on Vix. So hack and slash is another basic move, which Bruce just annihilated, it looks like. How hack and slash works is it's a melee attack. You roll your strength. On a 10 plus, you get to deal your damage and avoid their attack, or you can add a d6 of damage, but expose yourself to the enemy's attack. How do you want to go about it, Bruce?
Let's add some damage. So that's
You add a d6 of
2d10.
damage.
So 2d10 or d10 plus a d6.
You got it.
Let's go, Bruce.
God damn.
Nice.
Blowing it up in there.
You've wounded him enough to kill him multiple times over, Bruce. So could you please describe
Describe
for the class how you burst through the wall and kill this orc savage?
So I shoulder check through the wall, grab a board, slam the guy across the head, and then grab him right underneath his chin and impale him on one of the fence posts.
Yes. His skull makes a satisfying crunch as a bone chip flecks out of the top while the fence makes its complete puncture through. Sigmund is running toward Edda, being chased by 2 orcs. What do you do?
So at the moment, I'm running back to the main scene where Edda is. Haker's in the way and is just staring at me. I shove him to the ground.
Alright, let's defy danger.
Alright.
And that, I just want to point out that moment. Sigmund didn't even realize he was making a move, I don't think. He was just adding that as description. I shove him to the ground. I jump in, realize that is a perfect opportunity for a defy danger strength.
Defy danger strength.
And defy danger is a move where you're acting despite an imminent threat, and how you're dealing with it determines what you roll. So since he mentioned shoving him over as opposed to juking around him, he's going to roll 2d6 plus or minus whatever his strength modifier is.
Alright, let's see what my strength modifier is.
That's a -1 for
-1. What a weak man.
the scrawny Sigmund. But hey, failing rolls is actually a good way to get experience points.
Lewis,
But you didn't fail.
3D dice are black. I can't see them.
I love it.
I don't know what that's about.
It's because your color is black. But I think you should
Oh.
keep it that way. I want black
Ninja
dice
roll.
that you can't even see the number. You have to know what it is.
have to feel it.
So
Real.
on a 7 through 9, 7, which is what you got here, I have to offer you a tough choice here. So my tough choice is Sigmund, while running, goes to just shove Hake to the side. As soon as he puts hands onto the mound of flesh that is Hake, he quickly realizes that Hake weighs a good deal more than he could have imagined. Now, Sigmund is not going to have the momentum to push Hake to the side. So, he has two options here. He can collapse into a heap with Hake, or he can use his stage training to roll to the side and let the orcs plow directly into Hake. Which is it going to be, Sigmund?
I think I'm going to have to take a tumble with Hake because...
So you're going to collapse into a heap with them?
I think so.
All
I
right.
wouldn't feel right just throwing him to the orcs like that.
See, I'm glad. But maybe it would have been gnarlier if you'd done that. Either way, Sigmund makes the moral choice and does collapse into a heap with Hake. The orcs bearing down on them. Mere strides away. To check in with Oscar, you have successfully freed animals. It's just destroyed your spear in the process. So, you know, by this moment, your spear is barely hanging together. You crack through the last cheap lock. You've got piggies, goats, chickens.
Yeah, that's
fleeing
the
the
tip of the spear
flames.
broke off in the last lock.
A few of them died, I'm sure, or at least suffered burns. Maybe you're putting some out and seeing what you can do to get them going. But you definitely heard the orc war cry, as did Bruce. Bruce dispatched his orc soundlessly, by the way. Ultimate Metal Gear Viking. So this is an open, what do you do?
Well, Oscar, as Volan's outside herding the animals away from the fire, he picks up and communicates with Oscar that there are monsters. I would assume these are nearby, or humanoids, or some enemy of some sort. And Oscar rushes out.
Does Volan
drawing-
have any particular... I'm just asking so I can give you a good, appropriate description here. Any particular... He does have keen senses.
He
Got
has
it.
keen senses.
Alright, so... Volan gives a low growl, letting Oscar know that he smells orc stink throughout the perimeter of Hake's lands. Just so you know. But continue your description. You were fiddling with your bow now that you've cast aside your broken spear.
Yeah, I draw my bow, and I'm assuming I'm still within eyesight of Hake, and
Animals are fleeing. Sure, you can see them.
it's fine.
Imagine farmland. So it's a cleared, low rolling hills, with, you know, dotted with structures here and there. So you can certainly see the silhouettes of people. It's moon and stars, clear night. So no extreme detail, silhouettes for sure. And you've seen an orc or two in your time living near Volkar Forest, so there's no mistaking them.
Well, I noticed the scrawny ramblings of a man collide with another and tumble into the
You
ground.
see
so
Sigmund run right into Hake, and they both eat
I could
orcs
only
on their
assume it
tail.
was Sigmund. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to send Volan after the orc that happens to be on the left, and I will also fire I'm going to take a volley take a shot at the orc on the left.
So Volan shoots across, and this is interesting how this works. Basically how this works mechanically is using Volan to attack the same target means that Oscar is going to get to add ferocity to his damage, which happens to be quite high on Volan 3. So he gets to add +3 damage due to Volan's ferocity. So Volan shoots across the ground like an arrow himself, like a silver wisp of smoke, just galloping, just ears perfect, lean back, going. Meanwhile, Oscar is sending a little companion of his own to help Volan now. Now, you do have to attack the same target to get the damage bonus, so we'll just retcon and say you're going the same one.
Yeah, I said the one on the left.
Okay.
Which one ever had the bees.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. There's 2 of them. Beautiful. So, now, you didn't describe or mention anything about specifically aiming. So, are you doing a called shot or a volley?
No, just a regular volley here.
So volley is a basic move that everyone can do. It handles any type of ranged fighting in Dungeon World, whereas called shot is a ranger-specific move that works how you would imagine. So he's going to roll dexterity, and you're probably picking up by now on already. 10 or higher is good. 7 through 9 is okay. 6 means I get to do something nasty. Appreciate everybody hanging out, by the way. I kind of don't even have the chat up right now, so I took a glance at it. Oh, did you know that Bruce Jotunsson's last name is actually Campbell? That's what that translates to. I didn't know that. So you're playing Ash. Oscar rolls a 7 on the volley. So you do get to deal your damage. However, you do have to pick a condition from this list here, Oscar. Which will it be?
I'll take more than one shot.
So you reduce your ammo.
Indeed, that brings me down to 3.
So while Volan is sprinting it through the unweeded fields, Oscar is sending several arrows whistling through the air because he knows these are battle-hardened orcs. They're going to hear that noise and instinctively, and indeed, Oscar's target does instinctively hit the ground, take a belly. The first arrow misses. He looks over. He did not expect a wolf to be on the ground here. Volan is in his face. And the second arrow, which Oscar wisely aimed at the ground where the orc would take a belly after hearing the first arrow, lands true, killing the orc. Where were you aiming?
Well, when I was aiming low, it's gonna be my thing. I was just shooting more at his legs and his ankles there. But since he crouched down, so thankfully for him, it nails him squarely in the upper right shoulder,
Pierces
rolling
his
him
heart.
over.
Pierces one of his hearts, but it's enough. Black streak with crimson Icarus blood splashes out of the wound. Volan can't help but take a celebratory bite, shaking his head left and right, blood spraying Hake, spraying Sigmund, and spraying the other orc right there. What do you do?
Etta, to deal with Hedri, shakes her head at him.
Hedri has just, by the way, spat in Edda's face and said he'd rather die than cooperate.
Yep. Shakes her head at him, tells him if he prefers the justice of the gods, sure, rolls him back over onto his stomach, runs towards Hake and Sigmund.
So you roll Hedri back over onto his stomach with his hands bound behind him.
Yep.
Okay. And then you
Leave
said
him
you
to
run
his
over
fate.
to Hake and Sigmund and try to interpose yourself between them and the orc.
No, actually, Edda is going to grab them both by the back of their necks and try and yank them both up onto their feet. Defy danger with strength.
That's exactly what it sounded like to me.
Wow, Edda's getting a lot of experience.
The triple ones. Ouch.
Yeah.
Hake is much heavier than anyone anticipates, I guess.
This guy sucks.
Been getting into the meat a little bit too often here, old Hake.
We just keep redrawing Hake fatter and
Fatter and fatter.
Love that his arms are still out too.
Edda grabs Hake and Sigmund by the back of the neck. She finds Sigmund rising easily, but Hake, especially with the way that she jerked back effortlessly like it would be no problem for one so brawny as her, she finds herself flopping forward onto the two men herself, adding to the pile with her considerable weight of armor. In addition to that, it stops being funny when Edda rolls a d6 for me. How much armor do you have on, Edda?
Let me double check. I have 3 armor.
So you actually only have 2 against this attack. That's how piercing works, right? It reduces their armor value by 1, or whatever the piercing amount is. Let's double check.
I believe so. Looks like.
Let's double check. I don't want to screw you if I am being a bastard, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's under the equipment. There'll be tags. Piercing. Subtract, yep, that amount from the enemy's armor for that attack. Okay, cool. I just wanted to be sure I wasn't being a dick. So you said you had 3 armor?
I had 3 armor, so are you
You have
saying I
2
take
armor for
damage?
this attack, so you take 2 damage from it. And
Alright.
what happens is, as Edda topples forward, the orc savage, malevolence in his eyes, his bone lash to the bones lash to his greasy skin clanking together, lets out a whooping howl and brings his rusty, nicked blade down in a slash into Edda's lower back. She feels her armor hold, but some of the sharper and newer edges of the blade, something made out of pieces bolted to pieces, do cut through, and she feels the unmistakable warmth of blood trickling down. What do? And this is, again, everybody.
Bruce is rounding the corner of the house, sword drawn and shield drawn. He's sprinting and he's shouting his accumulated knowledge about orc attacks and orc raids. Since he's no stranger to their tactics, he's going to enlighten us a little bit.
Barking out orders / knowledge. Barking out intel as he runs. I like it. That sounds like a spout lore to me. Spout lore is a basic move everybody can do. Again, Bruce angling for some fails here to get some experience points. He's going to roll intelligence to consult his accumulated knowledge. Let's see.
Now, would that be a +1 because of what happened here recently?
Sure.
So I will be +0 from my 2d6.
There you go. So with an 8, that means I'll tell you something interesting. And I also get to ask him how he knows this, but he cut me off at the pass and already told me how he knows it. But maybe I'll tell him some really weird, interesting thing, and he'll have to come up with some reason why he knows that. It's not going to be a useful thing, though. Alright, this is a pretty innocuous one. Bruce is shouting about how the yellow painted across them. And you have noticed I mentioned it earlier, they have some kind of disgusting yellow concoction smeared on their faces and bodies and arms. Means that these are Lugdog clan. Lugdog. The Lugdog clan of orcs. Alright, it's too quiet for too long. I'm doing something.
Wait, I had a thing.
Yeah, you guys too slow.
I was writing down the name of the clan.
Write faster.
I was too.
So as Bruce is running, shouting, "These are Lugdog clan." He's running down the fence row, running toward his companions. 5 Lugdog clan orcs step out from behind the shed, intersposing themselves between him and his companions, calmly. Smiling, tusky grins. What do you do?
Edda's gonna, while she's rolling around on the floor with Hake and Sigmund, grab Hake by his face. He seems to be stunned and can take no action but lay on the ground. So she's going to grab him by the face and try and yell some sense into him. She yells.
He is quite shocked. Orcs
Yes.
are currently rampaging across his
I can imagine.
land.
Hake, if you want Tyr's justice, by God, run to town and get more men.
By the gods. Alright, let's be inclusive here.
So this is a paladin move that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to I am the law, this guy.
Now, I'm not going to retcon this move at all, but I will say that town is like at least a ration of travel away, which means that's like a day.
So it's not like he can just run over the hill.
Yeah, but you're still telling him to do it, so he might try. He might give it a go if a big scary woman. Go get guys. It's like, okay. So she's using a paladin move called I Am the Law. And she gives an order based on her divine authority and rolls charisma. So a 7, they get to pick one of these things from the list. This is pretty simple. Hake's face nods in concern as Edda shouts at him to run and go get more men. Especially because Odstad is some travel away. So Hake extracts himself from the pile, crawling away, keeping his eyes on Edda the entire time. While the orc savagely continues to attack at her back. His corpulent flesh jiggles as he turns tail and flees as fast as he can across his lands toward Odstad. And don't forget, there are 5 orcs slowly surrounding Bruce now, looking like they're
Bruce
about to
is
enjoy it.
gonna cut that number down.
What do you do?
Volan's going to aid.
Oh, nice.
So he's got Hringir already drawn. He's gonna start
Hringir,
cutting them up.
the legendary sword of Bruce.
Well, Oscar seeing. Whoa.
What is that? Aid +1.
+1, so still a 8.
Yeah.
So he's rolling another hack and slash. The gods cursed him because he didn't describe it all that intricately, so he didn't roll as well.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, my shit's being slow. There it is. On an 8, it's mutual damage dealt. So would you roll a d6 +2, Bruce? And what is your current armor?
My current armor is 2.
So reduce that to 1.
So take 5.
Take 5. So roll your damage as well. This is a trade.
Oh.
So Bruce almost calmly flicks Hringir out. And Hringir has the notable strangeness to it that despite it being a blade of medium length, it seems to hit people farther away than it ought to. So, the orc who Bruce slashes across the face is understandably surprised by it, but not so surprised that he doesn't screech out a war cry and fling himself onto Bruce, knocking him to the ground, and using his body weight to drive in his jagged hunk of metal, dealing 5 damage. What do you do? This again is everyone. So that the situation is understood, Edda is now laying on top of Sigmund. Hake has crawled away and fled. Edda has an orc pinning her down, making stabs at her with his savage blade. It's scraping and scaling off of her armor. Volan is sinking his teeth into this orc's ankle, one of 5 orcs facing Bruce, while Bruce slashes him across the face, but it's not quite enough to bring him down. And so said orc, balance thrown off by Volan's worrying, gets tossed on to Bruce, sinking his own blade into Bruce between them with the body weight. And Oscar, I assume, is taking cover maybe behind the shed, or maybe he's just laying low to the ground. So that's kind of the general scene. The longhouse fully erupted flames. The barns are burning. Hake's animals have fled, or some have undoubtedly been roasted up and perished. Hedri is nowhere to be seen. He was left, and he is assumably crawled somewhere. What do you do?
Oscar knocks an arrow, aiming at the orc on Edda's back. Going
Nice.
for a headshot.
So we're calling a shot here. Beautiful. So we're rolling called shot this time, which is a ranger specific move. And it's definitely defenseless because he's completely ignoring you. So he's going to roll dex. And he's aiming at the head. Let's see it, Oscar. Nice. So, you get to deal damage and cause them to do nothing but stand and drool for a few moments. So go ahead and deal your damage first.
Alright, 2 arrows left.
Well, you don't have to mark off arrow. You don't have to mark off ammo unless you fail the move.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, fuck. Alright, so I've only used 1 ammo then?
Yeah,
From
the
all
only
sessions?
Yeah, the only time you mark off is when you use that. So I think if you only use that
Gotcha.
once.
Did not know that.
No worries. I wouldn't let you run out without telling you.
I'm sitting here contemplating. I'm like, is hand-to-hand combat viable?
It's more indicative so that if you get a string of bad rolls, it's like, oh shit, I'm out. You know, the stand and drool is negated because that is enough to kill.
He does
Right.
drool for a second before he falls into a heap on the ground.
Well, Edda looking over her shoulder at this savage orc tusk, acne-ridden, bloodshot eye, smelly. It smells almost like baby poop or sulfur smeared on his face. An arrow suddenly sprouts from his left eye, spattering your face with eyeball goo and blood. And you feel the extreme weight of a now lifeless orc pressing both Edda and Sigmund down. What do y'all do?
Edda's gonna take this moment to try and use her strength to push the orc off of her and Sigmund so they can both stand up.
Alright, let's see it. That's going to be a Defy Danger Strength.
I'm immensely enjoying the basic animation of our scene.
I know, dude. Lewis is such the homie, dude. This is like a treat, honestly, to have this going on.
The
Yeah.
experience.
Nice.
Okay.
Being it's
me
like you
doing
and I
something
switch
bad.
campaigns.
Yeah.
I've almost leveled up just from rolling poorly.
That was like me in our last campaign.
Edda struggles to push this God must know 300-pound orc or more off of her. In her struggles, she's finding that the scales of her armor are getting entangled with Sigmund's clothing, for instance, like shreds and the threadbare threads are getting caught in between the metal scales, so you're getting tangled up there. The scales are getting tangled up with the animal sinew and rotten cloth and buckles and chains and clips and whatever the fuck is all over the orc. And so not only are you pinned down, but things are now getting tangled in between the scales of... You have scale mail, right? I'm not insane. Are you wearing scale mail, Edda?
That'd be pretty awkward.
I am. I'm wearing scale armor.
Okay, good. So, you're deeper. You're not only weighted down, now you're entangled by your own armor, essentially. What do you all do?
Just real quick question: Is entangled like a?
No, it's just description.
Okay. Just checking.
Bruce is going to belt out a savage roar, and there's a burning chunk of wood beside him. He's going to grab it and try to stick it into the face of the orc that's on top of him.
Yes, so Bruce, also pinned down by a massive savage, reaches back, clutches a burning piece of detritus, tries to shove it into this orc's eyeball. Hack and slash it, man. So that's the trade, right?
Yes.
So deal your damage. And then roll a d6 plus 2 for yourself. And you're going to take... That reduces your armor to 1, right? With the 1 piercing. So you take 8 of that.
Yep.
Sorry, did I say 2d6? I meant just a d6. So you
Yep.
take 7, actually, because it's 6 plus 2. You take 7 of that.
Okay.
Bruce shoves this burning chunk of wood up into the orc's eye. It immediately spatters and hisses, but the orc powers through it enough to ram the jagged blade that he's holding between himself and has it pressed into Bruce and shoves it in just that much deeper, gritting his teeth before finally giving up the fight and collapsing in death on top of Bruce. Volan lets the leg drop. What do y'all do?
Bruce was
Can I,
secretly hoping that the war paint was flammable.
Ooh, it is. And the orcs...
And the orc is now on fire.
It
Why
is
would you do this to
flammable, and the
yourself?
orc erupts into flames on top of Bruce. The
Did he take more
remaining...
damage? Is
the-
he super dead now?
The remaining 4 orcs raise their weapons and cheer. And Volan backs away very cautiously, being very afraid of fire. What do y'all do?
I'd like to try and I think I can heal with my character. I'd like to heal Bruce.
I love
Well,
the
you're-
idea that the orcs are wearing flammable war paint while they're burning shit down. I love that so much. I love the idea of, like, now and again, and probably more often than that, they just accidentally set themselves on fire, and the others like love it. They're like, yeah.
They all look around. Well, I guess we're starting this off early.
All right, that was Sigmund was going.
Am I able to heal Bruce trapped under 2 bodies as I am? Or am I basically
Yeah,
just
please
incapacitated?
describe this for me if you're going to attempt this.
What do you mean heal though?
Well, I was thinking if I could use some arcane art. So basically, what would that be? Weaving a performance into a basic spell to heal.
Well, the question, so let's take a look at bards. They're a little bit weird. Do you start with spells as a bard, or do you not? Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
you do.
Oh no, arcane art just has kind of that random, you get to pick an effect. I see. Nice. So one of the effects that you can choose with arcane art is to heal 1d8. And you roll charisma off of it. Yeah, so the weave a performance into a basic spell, that essentially means
Oops,
that-
sorry.
you do what is the performance aspect is my question, because
Yeah.
you could
I wanna hear the
totally, you could
performance.
absolutely do it, but is it like a song or a chant or what?
Yeah, please describe this as you're being pinned to the ground by 2 other people.
Well, basically,
Play this out for me.
Well, hold up, you
My-
don't just roll the healing first, so we'll ignore that.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Okay, no worries.
I messed up there.
We'll be rolling a move first.
Yeah.
But what is the performance? What does Sigmund do to help or inspire Bruce?
So basically, I'm completely pinned. So all I can really do is move my mouth and just like turn my head slightly.
Yeah.
And speaking through the 2 bodies that are collapsed on top of me, I start chanting at Bruce, basically along the lines of just some really meat-headed chants, which would just like drive through to him while he's.
So maybe it's like, because remember there's a warrior tradition that guards the sacred knowledge at Ugathwaite. So maybe you start chanting out like some, or maybe for something that Bruce would be more into, maybe like just some like Viking like rowing song or some kind of battle chant that is like commonly known amongst all the folk who go out on Vix. Something like that. Something that
like
Bruce is gonna hear.
It's not like a kind of delicate folk song. It's just the most like primal chant, which is basically just going to.
Yeah, it's like a military.
Yeah, exactly.
Chant.
It's like a military drill.
Ugasaki.
So I like that. So you roll charisma for your arcane art. So it's 2d6 plus your charisma modifier.
2d6 charisma.
Oh, hey, your person changed.
Okay. 2d6 charisma.
Very good. So on a 10 or above, what that means is that you get the selected effect with no qualms. And then you rolled a d8. Very nice. You rolled an 8 on it. So that will heal Bruce for 8 hit points. The Viking chant gets him
Fired up.
Gets him fired up to the
Fired
tune
up.
of 8 HP.
He's not only so
I
fired
love
up,
that scene though. Like, think about it for a second. Sigmund's laying there, and the camera's looking at. Really, it's just he like looks over, and it's like a desperate moment, and he starts. He can like kind of see Bruce laying over there, and he starts like chanting out this like very primal, just like
Suck.
and then Bruce like kind of starts doing it too. Bruce is like and then what happens?
all while Bruce is chanting, he's lifting the orc on top of him, and he's going to try to hurl it at one of the other orcs.
Fuck yeah.
Give me that
Firebomb.
defy danger first.
Strength, I assume.
Oh yeah.
No, charisma.
Yes.
Ghost is rooting for the
Yes.
orcs. So defy danger just means the danger doesn't come to pass, whatever. So you successfully do that, and yeah, no rolls needed. Bruce, fired up by Sigmund's chant, "Ruh, ruh," keeps chanting and flings this now burning orc carcass off of him onto another one of the orcs, igniting him as well. The orc immediately "Rah!" and starts running around randomly. What do y'all do?
Edda's
Oscar.
gonna- Oh, go.
Edda came first.
Edda's gonna try and use the same tactic she did on Hake with Sigmund. Although she doesn't think that she needs to appeal to the gods to get him to agree with her. But she is gonna grab him by the face, look him in the eye, and say, "Help me."
So you're trying to compel him to...
I'm petitioning Sigmund to roll an aid here and get this orc off our backs.
Well, that was strange. That's Oscar. That's exactly what Oscar was going to do.
Could there be more than one aid?
No. But my question is, I don't think this is something that you need to roll a move to
This
get
isn't
Sigmund
really.
to do.
I wasn't really trying to do a move. I was
Okay,
just trying
cool.
to role play, asking
Gotcha.
Lewis to roll an aid.
All right.
So if Sigmund does actually try to help Edda foist this orc off of them, maybe he's fired up from the chant as well. The aid move is a basic move anybody can do. And how it works is you roll plus bond with that person. So you roll 2d6 plus the number of bonds you have with that person. So how many bonds does Sigmund have with Edda?
Just one.
So you're going to roll 2d6 plus 1 to try and help her fling the multiple hundreds of pounds of orc meat off of your combined persons.
Come on, Bones.
Alright. So, with an 8, you do give her a +1, but you also expose yourself to danger, retribution, or cost. So you will roll a +1, but if shit hits the fan, then you're in trouble too, Sigmund. So do you want to... Are you trying to defy danger strength again?
Yeah, and roll them off of me with an 8 this time.
Alright, so you get an additional +1 from Sigmund.
There we go.
Hey.
Hey.
So with the combined strength, Sigmund pushing, Edda gets a foot up underneath there and successfully punts the dead orc onto the thick grasses of Hake's unweeded fields. What do y'all do? Up too long.
Oscar.
I'm in there. Nope, it was too long. Wrecked.
Nope, too long. Oscar. Oscar's going to look around and see if there are any more orcs.
He'll pay for that.
Hiding in the bushes.
He'll pay for that.
Hiding in the bushes in a nearby surrounding area.
Yeah, they're all there. No.
The whole tribe.
Oscar doesn't spot anymore. And Volan doesn't seem to be aware of any either. What do y'all do?
Bruce, go ahead.
Edda's gonna... Once she's unpinned from the ground, her lifelong childhood friend Bruce is surrounded by orcs, which happen to also be on fire, so...
Only one's
She's
on fire
gonna
and
run.
running around. 3 are fine.
Well, one's on fire and dead. Or Edda's gonna run not towards the orcs, but actually towards Bruce. Put her back towards his back, so now nobody can sneak up on her, and the two of them can fight these orcs together.
Edda runs in, gets
Does that
back
sound like
to
an
back.
aid? Yep,
That sounds like
with
event.
Bruce.
I'm curious how Edda is gonna get through the ring of orcs, especially that one is running around on fire.
Is there a defy danger dex in there?
It sounds like that's what's gonna have to be, so I doesn't hear anything else.
I can't wait until she fails and knocks me over again.
Yeah, I can't wait either. Yep.
Level up.
Edda charges toward Bruce, her deputy of sorts. And flustered from recent events, not with the best battle awareness, only sees the steel burning orc howl and nearly stumble into her, causing her to flinch, herself slip on the dewy grass, and collide with Bruce from behind, knocking them both sprawling. What do you do? The orcs savagely jump on them. What do you do? This is
I
open.
feel like we're getting punished for Miller here.
What?
Not yet.
You're really getting punished for my shitty rolls, so...
That's the truth.
Level yet?
2 away. Once I level up, then we good. Don't worry. Hang in with me there. So how much HP does Bruce have?
Bruce
still
is
low?
at like 21 now. Bruce is good.
Okay.
So Edda shouts out to Bruce.
How you doing?
Are you Are you standing true? And Bruce says, orcs will never get the better of me. Some shit
Fucking
like that,
common
right?
nuts.
Right? What do you do?
Bruce is gonna roll over onto his knees and slash at
He's
the legs of
avoiding
the
orc slashes left and right as he rolls. Ah! Ah! And he said he's slashing.
Indeed.
Alright, roll him. It's a hack and slash.
Want to defy danger in there too, or?
Yeah.
More rolls means more chance for XP.
Especially because it's defy with dex.
Mm.
Oh,
Damn it, I hate succeeding.
I succeeded, dude.
Well, the only way for you to get an attack off is to take a orc cleaver for your trouble. So do you focus on avoiding, or do you focus on getting a swing in on some orc legs?
let's focus on the orc legs.
Alright, so go ahead and roll d6 plus 2. That's 1d6 plus 2. Excellent. You take 4 damage from the orc cleaver. It sinks into your ass meat while you're rolling. But letting that orc get a chunk of you allows you to flick Hringir across what he thinks are out of range legs.
Hopefully the burning orc's legs.
Now the orc that's on fire is running around uncontrollably. The three that are left are focused on trying to chop up these humans that decided to lay down in front of them. The on fire orc is kind of like a environmental danger now until he finishes dying. Very good. So you can
trying to cut his
either
legs off so I could chuck them at the other orcs and set them on fire too.
you could deal damage and not take any more, or you can open yourself up to more damage and deal extra.
They have pretty low health, so I'm just going to avoid the damage.
Okay, roll your damage. That's enough to kill. So you slice the legs off where?
Right just above the knees, so he'll collapse forward. And
So the orc sinks his chopper into you. He's looking down at you like, ah, and then you give him the glimpse of a smile before chopping his legs off above the knee, and he falls, to the ground. Orc ichor and blood spraying everywhere, all over your face and body. What do you all do?
Oscar runs over to the first orc that he lobbed an arrow and made a successful kill with. And he's going to take some of this war paint and he's going to rub it on his arrows.
He's coating all of his arrowheads with orc war paint, or just
He's
some?
coating the next shot.
The next shot. Got it.
He's coating that, and he is going to lob that.
Now,
And
you went over there. Were you staying low and trying to be unnoticed while retrieving this war paint off the
since
corpse?
I did not observe any other orcs aside from the 3, no, I just dashed over.
Well, then you've definitely got one of these 2 remaining orcs following you. What do you do? While coating your arrow, you glance up and realize, having not covered your approach at all, one of the last 2 remaining orcs has thought better of these opponents and ran over to you. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to...
Like, you turn and he's right there and he's like, ah!
I'm going to roll over the body, attempting to get up on my knee and launch that knocked arrow, as Volan, sensing that I was in danger, is running towards the orc from behind.
Oh yeah, he's probably already... You probably, like, had already stalked right up behind him. So it sounds like you're gonna try to volley him, right?
I would say I would have to defy danger first.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. So you're defying danger with Dex, right?
Yes,
Got
getting out of the way.
So you almost use the body as cover, roll over it to turn, and then hopefully fire.
So it's defy danger.
Okay. So here's a tough choice. Oscar goes to roll over the orc body, and while midway through his roll, time almost stops for him, right? Because he realizes his bowstring is caught on a buckle of this dead orc's harness and trappings, meaning that if you hang on to your bow,
I'm releasing the bow, and I'm going to go for a punch to the face, and hopefully that's when Volan is also biting into his neck. So we're going to change this volley into
you're gonna ditch the bow. Now,
I'm not breaking
to fist fight a orc, I need some defy danger as well. I
right.
think. What do you?
I'd say that's with quick thinking.
What do you? Well, it depends. Like, I can think of a thing that I would give you credit for that, actually. But how do you attempt to transition this into a fist fight with an orc?
So
safely?
As I'm rolling forward and I feel the what is it? The string of the bow pull taut, I release it and immediately, like reflexively, like I've got to stop this orc that is trying to hit me in the face. Like he's taking a swing at me, so my first reaction is just trying to lop his teeth out.
That sounds like strength.
May I offer an idea?
Yeah, give him an idea.
What about chucking some kind of dirt into his eyes whenever you land, so he's blinded and taken by surprise?
Come up with a handful of dirt.
I would assume that, like, as I'm rolling, my hands are on the orc body, so...
No, I'd let you come up with a handful of dirt if you want to. If you want to take his idea.
How about a handful of war paint? I'm already messing with it, so I'm just...
Smear it in his eyes?
Yeah, let's smear it in his eyes and deck him. I'm a Viking.
Maybe you just go for the eye gouge. Give me a defy danger dex on that type of precision maneuver. Now, if you fail, the orc's got you. Oh.
I come through when it matters.
All right, so I'll give you the. Yeah, give me the hack and slash. Yeah.
With my fists.
Yeah.
Would
Alright, so here's
would your wolf still add to that though, if he's aiding, or is that only if you're doing a called shot?
That's only damage.
Yeah, it's ferocity to damage.
Oh, I see.
So here's how this scene plays out.
This
Oscar
could still be retconned a little bit here.
Slips away from the fight. Or so he thinks. The camera also shows an orc notice Oscar going off. He looks down, he sees his companion get his legs removed and thinks, I'll go after easier prey. So he follows. And Volan, of course, stalks after him. Meanwhile, Oscar is trying to cover an arrowhead in flammable orc war paint and turns to realize, oh shit, there's an orc right there. Quick thinking, Oscar goes to roll over the body and come up with his bow ready to shoot, but the bow gets caught on the body. So Oscar instead comes up snake-like and has his thumbs ready, going for the orc's eyeballs. His hands are on the sides of the orc's massive fucking cranium. And the orc grabs Oscar by the arms and forces his arms away and back, and then just picks Oscar up off of the ground and is holding him up in the air, legs dangling, preparing to do a backbreaker. What do y'all do?
Sigmund rushes in because at the moment the orc's back is turned to Sigmund.
Oh yeah.
I draw out my rapier and I'm trying to pierce him beneath his heart. So let my friend go.
I like it. Sounds like a hack and slash to me. Unless you've got some like bard sneak attack move or something.
Alright, nice hack and slash, so
that'll be 2d6 and then your strength modifier.
Yeah, I get 1 plus XP.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot. I'm also a weak man. Here we go.
Ooh.
Plus 1 XP.
So this is a great scene. Sigmund stands up triumphantly, pulls out his rapier, sends it in for a thrust, and here's the sickening king of his rapier end snapping clean off against an armor plate on this orc's harness. While holding Oscar, the orc just slowly turns and smiles a toothy smile at Sigmund before letting out another roar right in Oscar's face, filling it with the delicious scent of orc breath. So we've got one on fire orc running around who is now collapsed into a burning heap somewhere. We've got one orc remaining with Bruce and Etta, who are both still on the ground. And then we've got this orc over by Oscar and Sigmund. What do you all do?
Bruce is going to shout at Etta and tell her to attack that orc as he turns to try to handle the orc that's facing his ranger and bard companions.
Edda's gonna take a quick moment to pray to the gods to give her strength on this roll. She prays to her god Tyr and says, I'm trying to find the word I'm looking for. A criminal, that's the word I'm looking for, jeez.
Jesus was a criminal.
as a criminal and a heathen unbeliever of the gods, I pray to Tyr for strength in this hack and slash. There's no fancy paladin move I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to role play to get some experience points for my alignment.
So you're on the ground, and there's an orc trying to do sushi chop on you right now. And what are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to do a hack and slash, but I was just role
From
playing
the ground while orc's trying to kill you?
Well,
I mean, Bruce did it, but he did something critical before that.
He did a defy danger with Dex.
Yeah, he was rolling out of the way of the orc trying to attack him on the ground,
Well, I'm not
and
really
it's still
trying to
doing
roll.
so right now.
I'm not really trying to roll out of the way. I'm trying to take a moment to pray to my god for strength and make this a good roll. So I feel like I'm trying to defy danger with Constitution. I'm just,
Well, I would say that if you just laid there and took it, I would give it for Constitution. But what you just said with prayer and all that, I would give it for Wisdom.
Okay.
Do you guys feel like that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Wisdom, yeah.
So do a Defy Danger Wisdom. We haven't seen that in a bit. That's a rare. Pepe. Oof.
Good stuff.
She's just power leveling, guys. That's all.
I am
Want to
1
go?
XP away.
So that one's just simple. You're gonna take a orc cleaver to the back of your thigh while you're deep in thought. So could you roll a d6 plus 2 for me? And what is your armor?
3.
So your armor is right now 2 for this attack, which means you're gonna take 3 damage. Doesn't penetrate too deeply, but your prayer is rudely interrupted by the feeling of rusted, blunted steel getting rammed through the back of your thigh, and an orc gleefully howling at the other end of it. Meanwhile, Sigmund and Oscar in some trouble. I heard Bruce say something about that. What was that? He barked out an order to Edda.
And
He said,
after-
"Deal with this orc. I'm gonna go. I'll take care of the others," or some shit.
I'll save lives.
I'll save
So-
lives.
He turns and he's approaching the orc between Sigmund and Oscar, and he shouts and calls him a top knot, and that he should face someone who's his own size. With ring gear drawn, he gets within the range he believes ring gear can hit. He's going to cut down and try to cut his arm off, so he's no longer holding Oscar.
Alright, I'll give you the ability to get up unhindered because this other orc is distracted with Edda and shoving metal into her body. So, Bruce takes his chance, gets up, sprints over, then takes a stanza pose a little distance from the orc, calls him a filthy top knot, and issues a challenge. Is that right?
Correct.
Were you trying to do a move there, or just being cool?
No, I'm not a barbarian. I don't get Herculean appetites for glory.
Okay. Bruce does that. What do you all do?
Defy danger. I'm going to literally try and wrestle myself from this orc's hands.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a strength defy danger to me.
So attempting to wriggle and wrestle free.
Sorry, it scrolled up for me as an 8. The orc still has his jagged cleaver in his hands. Which means that it's pressed right up against your back. Now, it's certainly not a beautifully sharp blade, so it's not cutting you now. But were you to rip yourself free from his grasp, his chopper would rip a chunk out of you as well.
I'll take
Your
it.
call. So you can rip yourself free, but the chopper's going to rip you to the tune of 1d6 plus 2 damage. Do you have any armor on?
I have leather armor.
One
I'd also
armor?
like to argue that Volan is helping me out here and escaping by lunging at the orc's arms for some adding his armor to mine.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. But trying to figure out exactly how that would look in my mind. Yeah, I would say that Volan jumps up and sinks some teeth into his arm and starts shaking it as you rip yourself free, and as a result, both of you eat a little bit of cleaver, so that makes sense. So that means you'll have 2 armor, but then that'll be reduced by 1 for the piercing, so you'll have 1 armor. So roll 1d6 plus 2, and then take that damage as if you had 1 armor. You take 6. Oscar lands on his feet with a thump. What do y'all do?
Can Hringir cut through the wind and see if it can take out that orc?
Sure, if you want to roll a hack and slash.
Yeah. The scene is still on the orc after dropping Mr. Oscar, and you hear the distinctive sound of Hringir.
Yeah, I bet Oscar ducks. When he hears that
I'm gonna
noise.
fucking lay on my belly.
Yo! Yeah, it's distinct enough. So, with a successful hack and slash, as always, you can deal your damage, or you can deal extra damage and open yourself up. I think you're just going to deal your damage.
Yeah, just deal the damage.
Roll them bones. How do you kill him?
Cleave him right at his midsection. He just whoop straight in half.
So Oscar thump hits the ground. He hears the slight whistle of Hringir and knows to fucking hit the deck. And it's good that he did, because the mystical blade parts the air. It's there and it's not. As is, the orc even looks down for a moment, realizes he's split in half, and then the upper half slowly slides off to the side, flopping onto the ground. Edda, what's going on?
Hold on, Volan enjoys this kill and rips this orc's arm off to keep.
He's not feeling those intestines spilling out everywhere?
His
That's
teeth
the
were
good
already
part.
sunk into the arm. That's what
Okay.
he wants.
Okay, well, got some good protein on there. Volan starts devouring the orc's flesh.
It's seasoned with war paint.
Edda.
Edda's starting to feel like the gods have abandoned her a bit, and that maybe she
Perhaps
should probably
they're
prove herself to
displeased
them.
with her for beheading someone
Perhaps there's other reasons.
unjustly. It couldn't be random.
Edda, instead of praying for the gods for strength, will instead prove to the gods her strength by standing up against this orc's attacks and then attempting to hack and slash. So, defy danger with Constitution.
So Edda's just gonna try to stand
stand?
up, even just let it hit her. You know, I won't deal damage, but essentially just grit her teeth like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Alright, let's see.
Just stand up with the blade in your back and be like, no.
So that's the defy danger.
Yes.
So with that result, I will say actually you are gonna take damage, but you can
Alright.
still stand up. So roll a d if you want. Sounds like you do. So roll a d6 plus 2, and then that's
And then-
1 piercing. So
I'll take 2 damage.
yep.
Let me mark that real quick and then I'll hack and slash.
Hakestead is enthusiastically burning by now.
There we go.
So how that
Damn.
works is with any hack and slash, you can roll your damage for free, or you can roll some extra damage, but you open yourself up to taking damage.
No, I'll just do my damage.
Not ready?
There you go.
Yeah, that definitely kills.
Describe it up, Bean.
Mhm.
Nice.
Edda's fond of beheading things.
What is that a fight with?
Huh?
What type of sword does she have?
I'm looking at my notes. Oh, it's a long sword.
I mean, even just a steel sword in and of itself is rare and beautiful in these times.
But Edda's sword is particularly rare and beautiful in that it gives her +1 damage. It's just a particularly well cared for, sharp sword. So her sword gleaming.
Wait, is
in
that
the
a thing?
Yeah, it had +1 damage
Oh, just
on my sword.
why do you have that?
That's just the descriptor of the sword that the paladins carry. It's just what I start with.
I think that's just what swords do, but yeah. Alright. Got it.
It's an extra sword. Key sword.
So, Edda's sword is gleaming with the flames flickering next to her as she ceremoniously beheads this orc in the name of Tyr.
So her face is almost calm and impassive. All she does is the orc realizes.
All she does is stand up. She takes a cleaver to the shoulder. She seems completely unfazed by it. She is single-mindedly focused on killing this orc and
Well, that's
pleasing
all
her
it took.
god.
That's all it took. The orc's head spins, spraying ichor, and then tumbles into the ground. Hakestead. The buildings are burning. Some of the grasses around them are starting to burn. The animals have fled. Hake has fled. Hedri has fled. Orc carcasses are scattered around. And the beheaded corpse of Foxy is also laying there. Now, we're going to take a little intermission here so I can use the bathroom and take my supplements and write down some notes. And then we're planning to play till 4, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? So we'll play a bit more after a little intermission here. It'll be like 5 minutes or so, between 5 and 10. Does that work?
Yeah, say pre-intermission then, since this is all done with, I'm gonna lop an orc head off to take with me.
Well, yeah, what y'all should do is think and talk about any of that type of stuff during the intermission, and when we come back, we will presumably y'all are going to be traveling to Odstad, right? I can assume that, perhaps. Or do you not know what you're going to do? Yeah, I think that's where you're originally headed. Tell you what.
Discuss it.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all should come up with your next plan of action. And when we come back from the intermission, it'll be the next morning, that next spring morning, when you are planning to head out or do whatever y'all are planning to do. So decide like what you do over the night, like what you do with the bodies, what you do with Foxy's body, you know, that type of stuff. Where you stay for the night, probably camp on his land or somewhere or whatever. Come up with that, and then you'll fill me in, and then we will then begin play at the next morning here at Hake's Ruined Stead. Sound good?
Sound good?
Alright, be back in a bit.
Sure.
Alright, y'all. I'm gonna take a little intermission here. I gotta hit the little boys' room. Take my supplements, that kind of business. Appreciate everybody hanging out, man. It's the O Show. We're doing our Viking Dungeon World campaign, the Saga of Broken Blades. It's the first actual session. We did session 0, which was character creation, and then a little bit of play, not a ton, as per Dungeon World suggests. And then this is our first real session, episode 1 here. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Appreciate the support. There are a lot of ways to support the O Show. You can follow, you can tip, you can subscribe on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can gift the game. But my favorite way is just hanging out, relax on the infinite couch. I'm glad you're here. Take an intermission, and then the Dungeon World will continue. What is good, y'all? Appreciate that patience while we took a little break here. It is a Dungeon World edition of the O Show. We got a little less than an hour of playtime. Here, we're just going to play a bit more today and wrap it up. It's been the first session of the Saga of Broken Blades, but not the first time I streamed it. I did stream Session 0, which was character creation and an initial scene. So definitely encourage you to check that out. Right now it's only on Twitch, but I'll have it on YouTube soon. Hope you're having a good Monday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so I hope you get off work. But even if you didn't get off work, could you not be racist today, at least? Just one time? Thank you. Unless it's against orcs. Orc racism, I guess, is okay. Even on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Hi.
Bunch of orc racists up in this channel.
Yep.
Orc, or human supremacists.
Naturally. What about
So,
it?
I think I want a roleplay scene in the morning, like Bruce mentioned during the break there. My question for the party is, how would you put yourselves up for the night in this situation?
We are accumulating the bodies of the orcs together, and we're going to. Well, I'm going to cut off the top knots of the ones that haven't been immolated.
So the
All
scene
stars.
here is the buildings are burning out uncontrolled because there's nothing you can do at this point except to make sure the grasses don't catch and take the whole fields down, which is easy enough. It's a clear spring night. A little chilly, but it's warm for the area.
Lots of fires going on. We're fine.
Yeah.
We see the aftermath of this battle. We see Bruce, Edda, probably everybody, even Volan, working together to drag the bodies of the orcs into a big pile. Alright, go on. You said you were cutting the top knots off?
Yes. Oscar is cutting the head off of the orc that
Oscar
attempted
is
to kill him.
decapitating the orc that was holding him.
I already decapitated one. You can just have that one.
No, I want the one that was holding me.
So, what are you decapitating it with, Oscar?
Oh, with his own blade.
So Oscar is crouched over one of the bodies prior to dragging it to the pile, sawing away at its head in a grisly display with its own jagged cleaver. And Bruce, each body he drags, he saws off the dreadnoughted braid. I guess Bruce collects these.
Bruce thinks he'll get a price.
And then alright, so make sure any of this weird shit, like I mentioned, you're noting down, because y'all know my policy. If you don't write it on your character sheet, it doesn't exist. If you don't write it
Can
on
you
your
see
character
our
sheet,
character sheet?
you
The gear
can't
section?
do it. No. So, actually, yeah, I can see your full thing. So, anywhere you write it on there, Big Brother will see it.
Okay, you want to give me a weight for an orc head then?
No. There's no need.
No weight. Got it.
I mean, a
Come
human
on.
head weighs 10 pounds. How much is there, like, the load? Just give it one weight. It's gotta weigh something.
one?
Just
Okay.
give it one.
Yeah, like my max load is 14, so
Yeah, so I think 1 seems fair.
Your max load is 14? I must have done something wrong.
Maybe
My
he
max
did
load is
something
20.
wrong. Because it should be your strength score in that case.
The character sheets uses the strength modifier. So if you just put in your base weight, then it will be way lower than it should be. So you have to kind of artificially bump it up.
Good tip. But either way, it's that one's a little bit tricky. In that case, your load is your strength score plus whatever number it is for your class.
okay.
But either way, 1 seems fair to me. So 1 weight for an orc head seems fair to me.
Okay. And then throughout the evening as well, I've fashioned another spear, and I've used part of the orc blade to form the tip of said spear.
So we have a scene of Oscar gathering the materials to lash together another spear, and this time he uses a piece of jagged orc cleaver debris as the head of it. That's a nice touch.
We are burning the bodies of the orcs.
So then we get a scene of the party arranged around the pile of orc corpses, and Bruce sets them alight.
Bruce hands the torch to Edda.
Ooh, okay. Edda sets them alight. We have an orc bonfire. It smells awful. The smoke coming off is opaque and black and rolling.
And that is our campfire for the evening.
You're cleansing this earth of these wretched things.
And the orc blood is known to bring more orcs. They're like stink bugs, right?
It sizzles and hisses and sparks in the fire.
We have collected, I'd say, at least one of the orc cleavers. I know one of them has been dismantled, so I'm taking a cleaver for myself.
Sure. Anything is cool, just write it down. Or it doesn't count.
I'd like to turn the attention back to the deer carcass that we actually dragged over here at the start. So using one of the orc cleavers, I try and hack some of the meat out of this deer, because if we're taking a lot of spoils with us, we can't be dragging this carcass to where we're going.
Well, don't contaminate the meat. I have a dagger for crushing.
Yeah, I love the scene because Sigmund goes over and starts to do it, then Oscar steps over and he's like, no. He just pushes his hand slightly away. He's like, I got this.
Well, let me show you how to do this.
But it's also because everybody else is butchering
using an orc cleaver
and things like that. The only thing that I can butcher is a deer.
a
So.
deer.
I like it.
At least let me show you, Sigmund.
And you plan as a party to sleep under the stars, I assume?
Correct.
Alright, so and you could easily eat that elk that you brought down, so you pass the night enjoying some venison. Camping on the ruins of Hakestead. Now, you mentioned there'd be a little bit of role playing in the morning, so dawn breaks the next day. You hear birds.
Oh, Scar is already up surveying the surrounding area.
Yeah, take it away.
Unaware of any, or trying to make sure there are no other orcs that may sneak up on the party.
And what I'll do here, Lewis, I'm about to switch our page here.
Cool.
Just wanted to warn you. Did we switch?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a page out of Sigmund's histories.
Just puts a big X through Hakestead.
I imagine in Lewis's next drawing, Hakestead is going to be a burned out ruin, which is I'm also looking forward to that aspect of the map as the changes over time.
Yeah.
Which the change of steadings over time is actually a big part of. Anyway, So you mentioned y'all were gonna role play out the next morning while you're enjoying a breakfast of venison once again. The next plan here, and it's really up to y'all. Oscar and Sigmund were headed to Odstad. Bruce and Edda had just been sent from Odstad to dispense justice out on Hake's land. And that's about that.
I think we need to catch up with Hake. I think we need to let him know there's good news and bad news, that he doesn't have an orc infestation, but he also doesn't really have much of a stead. So we need to catch up with him.
And I also noticed that Bruce had some box from, I can only assume, the Longhouse that belongs to Hake.
We need to find
Did Sigmund did Oscar notice that? Or did Bruce keep that on the low?
It's a box tied to his belt. It'd be kind of tough to...
Pretty obvious then.
Yeah.
So does Oscar point to that and ask him, like, what's that?
Like I said, I just assumed it was something from Hake's Longhouse, and I wanted to go after and see, to find Hake, to see if he maybe had some inkling as to why orcs were around his stead, or setting him ablaze to, or some more story or background behind what the pig thieves really were. Or
if you want more background on the story, we need to find Hedri. He crawled off during the battle, and he was maybe witness or even an accomplice in this. I told him that the gods would give him his justice, so if he's gone, he's gone. But if he's out there, then we need to find him and bring the justice to him.
Well, how far could a hobbled man with an arrow through his leg get?
Hopefully far enough that wolf of yours could catch him.
No, this is true.
Are you even certain you can make it back to Odstad alive? It seemed to recall you weren't even able to kill the orc that you hold his head.
Now let me give you guys a quick roleplay note. As far as your relationships to each other, Edda is a judge. Meaning that Edda dispenses justice through a hereditary position. She's the eldest of her father's daughters, no sons, so she's the judge. Bruce is a free man and a Viking, but he also acts as Edda's deputy, but in an unofficial capacity. So Bruce is just a free man. Oscar is just a free man, though as far as if you think about a caste or a culture, he would definitely be looked at suspiciously because he lives out by himself at the edge of the Volkar, but he isn't an outlaw necessarily. And then Sigmund would be in an interesting position because Ugathwaite is where the natural or the secret knowledge is kept, and there's a warrior tradition there where actually there's a annual or probably not annual, but however long, whenever they can, basically Odstad sends young men to go train at Ugathwaite, as perhaps do other places, to protect this cloistered knowledge, the sacred site in the dangerous, treacherous Volkar. And Sigmund is a son of not one of the warriors, but one of the knowledge keepers, one of the lore masters themselves. So Sigmund's in an interesting position where technically he has a bit of clout with regard to that he's Grim's son, but he is a pussy in like the ideology of a Viking. So he's right. Kind of an interesting fine line. So I just wanted to put that out there so you had a good idea of where your characters would stand in that regard. But then, of course, make sure you're thinking about your bonds and all that too.
Would Edda and Bruce know of Sigmund? Like, has Sigmund been around Oscar enough that they've made trips to Odstad before and they would have met?
You're all
Yeah, I-
familiar, probably decently familiar with each other, especially because you have bonds with each other.
Yeah, we at least know who he is.
Now, I mean, at this stage, you would consider yourselves friends, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was stated before that Sigmund had never made it farther than Skafgard. So you know of him more or less through me.
Or maybe you've gone and visited him with him.
Okay.
Mhm.
The gods' justice needed dispensed over on Skavgard.
Exactly. So anyway, you were discussing your next plans. It sounded like there were a couple different factions forming here.
Well, Edda, I have guided you before through Volkar, I do believe. So
The elk is delicious,
need-
by the way, in case you're curious.
Does it heal us all to full HP?
Hell no.
So yes,
well, I have guided you through Volkar. So if you need me to track down this hobbled, bleeding man through the forest, I would not be opposed to doing so. But let it be known that I would like to pursue after Hake to see to his safety.
oh,
Perhaps we can split up.
hey Dave, did you want to put the make camp move up and explain it real quick since we made camp overnight?
Oh yeah, we should role make camp. We'll do that when you guys are done role playing. I do want to ask a quick question. What did you do with Foxy's body? I hope you buried it.
Well, I was gonna keep his head.
You kept his head, okay. But did you inter it properly, Edda?
Did I? I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Inter his body properly?
Oh, you mean bury it civilly?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Vikings actually did cairns. You know what that is?
Is that when they lit the boat on fire?
No, I mean, in this case, no, you wouldn't do that. It's not an honorable death. So, a cairn is like you would put the body in a shallow grave because they didn't really have the tools to dig that deeply, and then they would pile stones on top. Have you ever seen one of those?
Mm-hmm.
When the taiga landscape, it was so cold that
Right.
couldn't get.
You can't really break the frozen ground, so.
Mm.
So they did cairns, if you're just curious about the role play of it. So hopefully you set up a beautiful cairn on Hakestead for Foxy, right?
Indeed,
Bruce is like, I made sure it happened.
I'm the one that lifted all the stones with critical success rolls.
Bruce, I trust you as my friend if you wanted to go after Hake and head back towards Rodstad, but I myself cannot go back without at least trying to find Hidri. If the gods decided that he's gone, then he's gone, but I have to at least look for him.
I'm not going to leave your side unless I'm ordered to do so.
Well, I can only assume I'm the best man for the job to track him down. So you have my bow and my companion, and this other guy over here too.
Edda kind of sneers at Sigmund and just comments slightly, I don't know what to do with this one.
Volan's gnawing on a bone.
Not
feel
on that
like-
orc army took.
I feel like my skills are better suited to maybe placating Hake because we're going to need to try and convince him that we couldn't save his stead and we need to keep him on side. I'm not really a tracking, hunting kind of guy, so I mean,
Then-
Oscar, we may have to part ways, I'm afraid. Friend.
And then it's settled.
Sigmund,
It
I don't
sounds like
think you
you
can
could
make
just
it to
come to us.
Odstad on your own.
Sigmund
you-
Sigmund and Bruce will go to Odstad, and Oscar and I will try and track Hidri.
I'm going to intervene here divinely, just from a mechanical perspective. You can. First, let's do this. Let's make camp, since we did that last night. Let's discuss that move first. So, let me see if I can find it real quick. Make camp. There. When you settle in to rest, consume a ration.
We consumed an elk.
Right, so no one has to mark off a ration because you had the elk. If you're somewhere dangerous, decide the watch order as well. We didn't do that, so it must not be a dangerous area anymore. If you have enough XP when you make camp, you may level up. I don't think anyone did you?
Not quite.
Okay.
Fail a roll real quick.
When you wake from at
turn on
least
fire.
a few uninterrupted hours of sleep, go ahead and heal damage equal to half of your max HP. Make sure you
Round
do
up
that.
or round down?
Let's round down.
What was that, sorry?
So, whenever you do the make camp move, one of the things you get to do is heal damage equal to half of your maximum hit points,
Alright, okay.
Oh, half my maximum. Okay.
and then you round.
For some reason,
down.
I heard half of your.
half
Yeah,
of the square root of the 6/3 of your
I heard half of a half somehow. and I
of
was
your
like 5
3/4
HP.
maximum.
Instead of a quarter, half of that.
Yeah, that's what I heard somehow, and I was like,
A third of a half.
All right, got it. I healed 10 HP.
Killed 7/16.
I healed an irrational number of XP. I mean, I healed XP somehow. I don't even know how I did that.
I want to heal XP. I don't know.
Trade XP for health. Okay, the second thing we were going to talk about is the undertake a perilous journey move. The reason is there are 3 roles when you undertake a perilous journey. You can't assign more than one job to a character. If you don't have enough party members or choose not to assign a job, treat that job as if it had been assigned and the responsible player had rolled a 6. So this is up to you. If you want to travel in a group of 2, it means that each group is going to need to choose either Trailblazer, Scout, or Quartermaster to voluntarily fail. Now what that means is Quartermaster makes you use less rations, Trailblazer makes you get there faster, and Scout lets you get the drop on any trouble you encounter. So they each are vital, but if I was going to voluntarily fail one, it'd probably be the Quartermaster or the Trailblazer if you weren't in a rush or had plenty of supplies. But that's just... I just want to make you aware of that as players, that when you do travel in groups of 2, that's how it affects the mechanics. So you fully can, but that would be the consequences of it in the game itself.
Oh, I didn't realize Bruce was being told to go to Onstad. I thought he was following.
Bruce is not leaving at his side.
We'll talk it out in that context.
Okay, well,
Sigmund isn't going to Oddstad alone. He won't survive.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said, Edda. Thank you.
well, I'm gonna
You're gonna stay with me.
I'm gonna
No.
have to come along with you.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to
Thank
come
you.
along with you. I'm gonna be in kind of a foul mood because I don't really enjoy being in the wilderness. I'd like to just kind of reach civilization, so I'll come with you, but begrudgingly.
Well, I don't enjoy being around you, so we're in equal footings.
Let's hope this just goes quickly, okay?
I mean, how far could a injured man have traveled? He can't be more than a day's crawl away.
A day's crawl is much shorter than a day's walk.
Exactly.
Depends on if an orc picks them up and runs with them. Ooh.
That's what I was thinking.
That's not a philosophical question.
Sorry. I don't know who said that.
He was working with the orcs and they're keeping him around. Bruce is going to slam Mr. Sigmund on his shoulder and say, "You may not be as hard in body as some of us, but your mind is strong. If you could be the quartermaster in our journey, it would be greatly appreciated."
And he did a good job on that chant.
Yes.
And I say, you know what, Bruce? I've got mine for the both of us, so I accept.
Bruce raises his hand and he says, "Then I will blaze the trail."
And Oscar will do the scouting.
Of course, Oscar will.
Voluntold.
So what is
And-
the...
Oscar and Volan.
I'm sorry, what is the final decision, so we can have it clearly?
We're all traveling together
Tracking
Aww.
down.
to look for Hedri.
Yeah. See you
To look
later,
for
Hank. We'll
Hedri.
get to you later.
And then after this,
So you're
No.
a band of heroes?
Of course.
it seems that way.
The Vikings, in their mythology, they imagine that people would form into, groups or fellowships, like, naturally and regularly and mystically, and you'd fall into and out of them and all that. And it had to do with who your forebears were sometimes and stuff. They called them rings, which I think is pretty cool. So a ring or a band. So you're forming a band, is that correct?
Yes.
You have a ring.
Mm-hmm.
JC asks how we can be a band if only one of us has musical talent.
I'll kill you. I just like that terminology, ring. I think that's cool. Your ring, Anyway, you're forming a ring to try to track down Hake himself. Is this correct?
No, we're trying to
Hedri.
track down Hedri.
Oh, track down
first.
Hedri,
Mm-hmm.
the wounded, alleged pig thief, whose companion Foxy was beheaded and is buried on a cairn on Hake's stead. You're looking for Hedri. Is this correct? How do you
Yes.
intend on finding Hedri?
Well,
Oscar is going to hunt and track Hedri by following his blood trail and his scent through Volan.
So you're telling me you got a move related to this?
Yes.
Doesn't that work out good? Alright, give me just a sec. I love this game. Dungeon World is like one of the best games ever. So this is a ranger specific move. This is called hunt and track, isn't it?
Yep.
There it is for you. You follow a trail of clues left behind by passing creatures. So in this case, describe to me the scene.
Well, as where Hedri was laying and bleeding out with the arrow through his leg, Volan and I kind of crouch over. I kind of give him and point to him. I point out the blood trail. I look at his eyes and he knows he needs to follow. So he kind of sniffs around the blood and starts moving into the underbrush.
Taste it a little. Alright, so let's roll your hunt and track. You're gonna roll wisdom.
And when I track, I add cunning from Volan to my roll. So +1.
Very nice. So with a 9er, you follow the creature's trail until there's a significant change in its direction or mode of travel. Now, Oscar, where do you think this trail is headed?
I could only assume the orcs came from Volkar.
Hedri's trail, of course, leads into the Volkar. So how we're gonna wrap this one up is, first off, that's the name of the episode, Into the Volkar. Pretty good, right? I'd watch that show.
Nice.
The second thing is we're gonna wrap it up by rolling the Undertake a Perilous Journey move. And then we'll do our end of session moves and stuff. So this way we'll actually get done just a little bit before midnight. Very nice. For Lewis, that is. So the band decides to group together and try to track down Hedri, the pig thief, who has fled across the Lada River toward the Volkar. Of course, right? Of course. So the first act of this Undertake a Perilous Journey move is to determine how far away it is, and distance is measured in rations. So I would say from Hakestead to the Volkar, I would say that's probably like 3 rations, wouldn't you? Let's call it 3 rations.
Yeah, sure.
So it's 3 rations away. Now, Bruce leads the party as the trailblazer. He's the one
Oscar
packing.
leads the party.
Well, no, you scout. You can't be at the front blazing.
Oh, you said
the trail.
trailblazing.
Yeah, he's chopping the underbrush. He's
10 feet in front of him.
he's standing tall. Yeah, the scout you don't even know is around. The trailblazers standing tall, leading the group. So Bruce, roll your wisdom. Now you're gonna be bummed because none of you thought to say, "Oh, there's an extra person they could aid," but maybe you'll remember to do that next time. You rolling the bone? Did you roll? My shit keeps scrolling up. Sorry. So with a 9 on trailblazing,
Just takes a normal amount of time.
takes the normal amount of time. Yep. No benefits or penalties due to that. So let's do quartermaster and then scout.
All right. So
Edda can aid in quartermastering. She can also search for food as we travel.
Oh, you trying to work it in now that I mentioned it? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll let you.
Wink, wink.
Alright, so the first thing let's have Edda roll her aid first. So she's gonna try to forage for food to help Sigmund out on supplying the party. And she rolls bond with Sigmund and she gets a 9. Which means that she does give him a +1 to his job.
all right. So do I add that to because I'm doing +1 for wisdom?
So you'll get +2.
So you'll get a total of +2.
We're using wisdom for these things?
Yep, each job uses wisdom.
Oh, I see that now.
Very well done.
Hey.
Hey.
So
picked correctly.
Sigmund excels so well that with Edda's foraging and finding she's got a surprise. Why does she know how to find all this edible food and stuff in the woods? Is it
Simply
just
because she's been guided.
did her
before.
father? Oscar taught her. All right.
Yeah.
So she
Oscar's taken me
employed.
through the
Guided her-
forest before.
She employed what Oscar taught her. She remembered. She found edible mushrooms and things, non-psychoactive. Don't get excited. And supplemented the ration so well that between her and Sigmund spotting out when she taught him, the number of rations for this trip is actually reduced by 1. So everybody only needs to mark off 2 rations instead of 3. Nice
Hey.
work. Nice work. And the reason I want to roll Scout last is that one determines whether or not you get the drop on any trouble that there might be. And that's going to lead us to our cliffhanger for the next session, I have a feeling. An 8. So that means no one gets the drop on you, but you don't get the drop on them either. Let me actually mark what you got on your scouting roll here. So the episode 1, the first actual episode of the Saga of Broken Blades, not just the teaser, which is called Justice, is called Into the Volkar, and the last scene has the party traveling. It's like a montage cut from Hake's ruined stead. It's got a cut of them finding a place to ford the Lada. It's got a cut of them using them hills to get a view of the huge forest expanding in front of them and Ugathwaite in the distance. It's got a cut of Volan and Oscar. Volan's leading the way by scent. And then it's got a cut of the party from behind as they disappear into the thick and treacherous Volkar. And that'll be the next episode right there. So we've got an end of session move to do here, huh? You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
The first part, does anyone feel like they have any bonds that were completely or that were resolved? So either completely explored, no longer relevant, or otherwise.
I feel like Oscar owes me his life, whether or not he admits it.
So the resolution of a bond means that it's no longer relevant. There's nothing else left to it. Or the situation has inverted or changed to a degree that it's no longer applicable. So it seems like it's perhaps even stronger of a bond than it ever was. I would say it's not resolved at all.
Okay. So
Now he
I would
owes
say
his
it's not
life
resolved either.
extra. It'd be like, I guess
Bonus
an
bonds.
example resolution, since it is kind of tough to conceptualize,
yeah.
is what if Oscar saved your life? That would be
Okay.
a resolution.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Or
Yeah. If you were in the situation of Edda and Sigmund where that orc got his head thwopped, then I would say it's resolved.
like, okay, it seems like you got it right away. So cool. Anyone else?
Curious.
Yeah.
Worrying about the ability of Sigmund to survive in the dungeon, then if Sigmund proves himself, then that would resolve the bond.
Good example. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have no one feels we got any bonds resolved that time.
I can say I can see the start of a bond resolving, since Sigmund did so well at quartermastering.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Yeah,
teach it to
that,
live
I would say
long.
that's the beginning of the path to that. Like, and that's kind of cool because think about how that alters the gameplay for you as a player. now to resolve that bond, one of the things you're doing is paying attention to when Sigmund does good. So you can be like, he did good, see? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, there's my other bond is I have he has no respect for nature, so I have no respect for him. So
Right.
like as he's understanding it, those will hopefully resolve each other.
So that explains the enmity, and then, yeah. And, you know, it doesn't always have to invert. It could be like,
Sigmund dies.
well, yeah, that's one example. Or I was gonna say it could go the other way. You could be like, it could resolve, and then you could have a bond that's like, Sigmund is a threat to the natural order and needs to be put down. You know, you could push it. That'd be another way to resolve it. Or like,
Well, if you want me to kill him,
does that kind of make sense though? Like you could.
Yeah.
Doesn't always have to be the inversion. It can be.
I have.
it doesn't have to be a good resolution.
Yeah.
I've got a bond here that I don't know how it's going to be, which is this is not my first adventure with Oscar. Like I can't envision a resolution to that because like the other two I have I can kind of see, but this one is like.
I would say like once you guys, you know, have. This is not my first adventure. Oh, I see. How would you resolve that one? Let's think about it for a second.
That's all it
Oscar
says. This is not my
dies.
first adventure.
I would say that what that implies is that you've had some sort of secret adventure with him before, and if you became known traveling buddies, that would resolve that bond.
No,
Or
I
if you
see another way.
if you decided to never travel with Oscar again or adventure with him again, that could resolve it as well.
Play your own dungeon world game.
I see that as well as an open-ended bond to the degree that you're like, this is not my first adventure with Oscar. Almost like with a wink and a grin, like, well, what was that adventure? So you could, like, maybe you stole something from someone and you bring that into play during the game and it gets resolved. So you resolve
Yeah,
the
I was thinking the same
consequence of
thing.
that previous adventure you all had together. You feel me? So it's kind of open-ended where you could almost invoke it almost wherever you want. Like, aha!
Yeah, and you can also like change that bond into something that could be resolved by some part of the storytelling. Yeah.
And then it's one of those sick parts when you're watching the show and it cuts back to like their past together and you're like, oh shit. Anyway.
Cool.
Anything else? I like the bonds talk, but I don't think we got any resolve ones necessarily.
Yeah, a lot of starts.
But you guys are really starting to see how to resolve them, so that's excellent. So the next thing is to take a look at our alignments. So I want to try some. I'll start with Bruce arbitrarily. Wow.
And that's what he thinks of your alignment.
That's my alignment right there. I must be hungry. What is
That elk isn't enough.
Yeah, that venison. I need more. What is Bruce's alignment?
Bruce's alignment is neutral. Defeat a worthy opponent.
Do you feel like Bruce fulfilled his alignment this session?
I feel like killing 4 orcs out of 7 is worthy opponents.
Yeah, that's a pretty glorious battle. Am I right?
I mean, the first kill was pretty much solidifying it right there.
Was that not a glorious battle?
It was.
That scene was incredible. You had flaming wood going in eyeballs. You had people getting tackled by orcs. You had flammable orc war paint. You had animals getting freed. You had shit burning. You had slippery dewy with blood. Fucking grass.
Exploded because of a man and a.
You had Kool-Aid Man into an orc kill. Holy fuck!
Hand-to-hand combat with orcs. There we go.
You had an attempted Evil Dead thumb gouge into the eyeball, which turned into a Bane picking up fucking Batman action. with the orc holding Oscar. You had Sigmund realizing that ornamental fencing blades are not meant to be used in combat.
Yeah.
He
I had
goes,
some singing as well.
I do like the first time that he used it, it snaps.
snaps, the first of the many Saga broken blades. And then we had dope battle chants. Sorry, that was a good session. Anyway, so yeah, you definitely get the... Let me go back to the move here for the folks. If you fulfilled that alignment, which you did, Bruce, you get to mark XP. So, Sigmund, what is your alignment?
My alignment is avoid a conflict or diffuse a tense situation.
And which alignment is that?
Oh, that's neutral.
That one's neutral, okay. Did you do that?
I would say I did almost the opposite of that by bringing orcs to the stead, because I went to the well at the very beginning of it.
You were very brave.
I ran away. I brought orcs. I tried to defuse a tense situation.
But let's talk
stabbing.
about that. Alignment can shift, right? So, you can through role playing decide that you want to revise your alignment. I'd have to look exactly into how it's done. It may not be anything special in this game even, but keep that in mind that if you find yourself role playing your character in a way that doesn't suit the alignment fulfillment, and you see another alignment fulfillment that makes more sense. Sometimes, I mean, that people's, their personality changes based on the experiences they have. So keep in mind that is an option.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, I would say it's kind of cool. Sigmund was mad brave this session, where normally he would be like, he did it. I could give a small example. He almost did it when he went to go carve up the deer instead of the whatever else was going on. Do you remember that? At the end when he was like, I'll butcher what I can or whatever. That was almost avoiding a situation, but nah, Sigmund was almost uncharacteristically brave that session, which was cool, but doesn't get you XP. Yeah. So, what is Edda's alignment?
Edda is lawful, which is to deny mercy to a criminal or unbeliever.
Did you do that this session?
I did try and roleplay up killing the orc, calling him a criminal and a heathen for not, following my gods. So I would say yes. He was a known arson.
Yeah, that scene at the end, I'll give it to you.
And I cut off his head, which is, denies a lot of mercy.
Yeah. Mark your XP.
I leveled up.
Well, now keep in mind. Actually, yeah, you will get to level because you guys are.
In between sessions, can you level?
The level up is a move. When you have downtime and XP equal to your current level plus 7. So, I'm actually gonna say that to level you need days, not hours. So I would say that to do the level up move you need your current level plus 7 days. So you would need 8 days of downtime
but
to
it does say
level up.
Say in the take watch move that you can level up.
Where?
Doesn't it?
Right above undertake a pair.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Under make camp. It says if you have enough XP you can level up.
Sure, but I am choosing days.
Okay.
So unless you were camping for days.
I see.
Does that make sense? It's written that way, so if you want to play a more arcadey game, you could set it as hours, and then you can level up even if you just like camp out in a dungeon or whatever. If you set it to days right here, it means that leveling up is there's like some ritual attached to it. You know what I mean? So like part of your leveling up is going to be like related to your judgitude or some kind of relationship with your deity, you're going to do some incense or some shit, you know what I mean? Instead of just like boom. Now I'm not house ruling this. It's right here. I mean, she's technically correct. It's just that the level up move. I'm explaining to JC though.
Okay.
This is actually by the book. Because here you can choose days, and so she's actually right too. It's just that, so make camp. If you have enough XP, you may level up, and so you do the level up move, which happens to take 8 days. Does that make sense? So you would require 8 days, about a week of downtime to level up, to go through the proper, whatever. Because I want it to be more of a achievement instead of just like you leveled. You know what I mean? But that's actually by the book. Just you would need it set to hours if you wanted to use it, where they can level when they make camp and stuff. Which is kind of cool because you can play like I've always thought it'd be cool to run a Dungeon World game where the characters were like almost contestants on like a TV show. Like, obviously not a TV show, but like some kind of gladiatorial thing where they're like going through the dungeon. You know what I mean? Wealthy elites get to watch via magical scrying while you try to survive the dungeon. Wouldn't that be badass? There's like celebrities, you have like different nicknames and costumes. Anyway. Oscar, what's your alignment?
Is neutral. Help an animal or spirit of the wild.
I feel like you did that.
I helped domestic animals become wild. So therefore I helped an animal of the wild.
Yeah, you definitely did. Mark that XP.
Yeah, I think it's animal or spirit of the wild, not an animal of the wild or a spirit of the wild.
It's actually talking about the Ted Nugent song, Spirit of the Wild.
I helped write it? Good question.
Yeah. That's how you got XP. Yo, JC, you're right. There is a D20 supplement like the Dungeon game show. I think it's called X-Crawl, if I remember correctly. That'd be a great campaign to run one day. So now we're going to answer some questions. Yes or no, okay? And I want you to remember these questions because when you're role-playing your characters during the session, it's easy to remember to try to play to your alignment or to your bonds or whatever because they're right there in front of you. But these questions, you got to go read them right here. They're not on your sheet or anything. Maybe you should copy and paste and put them on there. Be a good reminder. But when you play, you're trying to learn something new about the world every time. You're trying to overcome some kind of notable enemy or monster every time. And you're trying to loot some kind of memorable treasure every time. Alright? So let's ask first one. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
An orc tribe. The name.
We did learn about the Lugdog clan. And that they may possibly be in cahoots with some humans.
And they're in the Volkar, naturally.
Sounds like you learned some shit.
We learned that Hake's dead, burned to the ground.
Has Oscar and Bruce and Sigmund almost assuredly had heard of the Lugdog before. Maybe even killed some of them. Definitely killed some of them. Not Sigmund, probably. He's seen them killed, maybe. From his window.
He wrote about them being killed.
Yeah, he read a poem about them being killed. Edda, has she fought the Lugdog before, or orcs in general?
Well, we had kind of established at our first session that I have fought orcs beside Bruce.
Well, that was when
But that doesn't
Onstad was
necessarily-
raided.
That's not necessarily the Luke Dog clan. It could be a different clan.
Oh yeah, there's tons of different clans. So,
But she's at least passingly familiar with some orcs.
so it's not really on her radar. Bruce, being a raider, has probably come across them more, maybe even raided them for their treasure. And Oscar lives next door to him, so he probably kills them on the regular. The Luke Dog. So we learned about them. Good. So everyone marks 1 XP for that. Did you overcome a notable monster or enemy?
I would say no.
Would you say that would you say an entire raiding party of orcs would be a notable enemy?
We were merely outnumbered 2-1.
I mean, I would give you guys credit. That was a
Hmm.
intense and epic battle. That would have been great to watch. Yeah, everyone mark an XP off that one. Now, it's kind of weird and metaphysical, but here's some ways y'all could fish for that. You could like look for the leader of a group. Be
I
like,
thought about
does
that,
any
but
one
it
of
was
them
too
look
late.
different or look like he's in charge or whatever? You could like hunt for that leader, or you could like hunt for like are they
Yeah.
using any types of extra monsters or anything like that? There's ways you can hunt for that.
That's why I asked if there were any other orcs around.
But
There
I
were only
will
3
try to
left.
present it as well. I'll try to go out of my way more to present notable, like named, uniques, basically.
Yeah.
All right, third question. Did you loot a memorable treasure?
I have a spear made from the blade of the orc that has slashed me.
I have the
Bruce-
lockbox.
Yeah, look at that lockbox.
I also have said orc's head.
Yeah, those
I
things
would
count.
say the lockbox especially is a notable treasure.
I would say none of that counts because of the word memorable.
Well, I mean, we have a lockbox that doesn't belong to us that will shape how Hake looks at us whenever he sees us again if we don't give it back to him. It's memorable.
Yeah,
Memorable to
I would
Hake.
give you credit for Hake's lockbox.
I took the head of the beast that was
Because
trying to snap me in
who
half.
knows what could be in that? We'll see,
we
like
all-
Explosive war paint.
taking trophies and stuff. That's more like a role play characterization. I feel like what Dungeon World is looking for with the looting a memorable treasure is like, because I do agree now that I reflect on it. Like that's something where even multiple sessions down, you'll remember like when you took Hake's lockbox. Like that'll stick in your mind. So,
I'm using this orc head as a firebomb.
like you're gonna be chopping orc heads off all day. You know what I mean? So,
well, maybe not all of them are flammable then. Oh well.
So I'll give you all credit on that one. So everyone mark 1 XP for that too. How many people have enough XP to level up? You would need 8.
I have plenty. I have
Nah,
8
I
and
got-
then some.
So Etta will be leveling at some point when she has 8 days of downtime. The other reason I like doing it that way is it adds another gameplay element because you as a character will be trying to find 8 days of downtime in a row where you can fucking do your, become level 2. Alright, I think we're good there. I'm going to go wrap up the stream real quick. And then if you guys actually, like you did last time, you can just schedule it without me. Just let me know what's good to go. In case you're going to bail anybody, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate y'all playing. You have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, boy.
That was a good one.
Good sesh.
You looking forward to the next? I am.
Hell yeah.
I am, because the beauty of Dungeon World is like when we play, like my planning, I do the planning by the book, however much they tell you to do. But then when you play the game, it like adds these new elements that dovetail into your plan so perfectly. You're like, how is this possible? That's like a really well designed game. But thanks for playing, and if y'all bail, I'll see you soon. Peace.
See ya.
Alright, lovers. That was the first official session of the Saga of Broken Blades. Any thoughts? Do I have any thoughts from the Infinite Couch while I type a last note here? That was a great session. That battle was very cinematic. Very intense. Well, that'll do it for today's Osho. I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. Hell yeah, JC. That's part of the reason I want to do this series too, is to teach people the beauty of Dungeon World. And it really does take a few... Like, at first it feels really good and seems cool. But you don't really get the true feel and the true understanding of how really well it all dovetails together until you've played some sessions built together out of it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk with the chat more on the next one for sure as well. I was so into that fight tonight. Can't blame me. I actually want to write a move that the chat can use. So I'm trying to come up with something like that. So you can pay 420 XP and do a Dungeon World move. How's that sound? Well, JC, I don't know how bashful you are, but you're always welcome to join us. I'm down to run games up to... I'll take groups up to 7, so... We got room. Now I'll come up with something really cool, Ghost. Something that'll be worth 420 XP. Because that's equal to 1 hour of my sexy face. That's very valuable. I still haven't picked the next main game either. Can we bullshit about that for a second? I feel like it's gonna be Darkest Dungeon for a while. Let me make a note to write that Dungeon World move. I'm still deciding the main game. So that means the next 2 O shows will be whatever that main game is. We discussed Darkest Dungeon, JC, over in Discord. It's pretty high chances. I'll ponder it some today. But don't worry, the variety will still be happening. The way I've been doing it these days is the main game I play 2 sessions of, and then I pick some other, variety pick And then I do 2 sessions of the variety pick, so we get some progress there. Back to the main game, 2 sessions. Another variety pick, 2 sessions. Alternate back and forth. Sprinkle in some IRLs, some tabletop. You've got yourself a little Osho gumbo there. I do not have Salt and Sanctuary. You can actually just pull up my Steam library by typing !library. Alright. Well, I really appreciate y'all hanging out. You know, there's a lot of ways to support the Osho. Hanging out's my favorite, but you can also follow, tip, gift the game, subscribe for as low as $1 a month on Patreon. But whatever you do, I'm glad you do it. I do want to thank these illustrious members of the 420 Club. I want to thank Kit Woo, Concat, Freeborn Pab, Bean Chan 99, Sabatum, Vodka, Itchy Snail, Smarms, Dennis Kulik, Lego Hog, and Gadsby. Big ups to y'all. Really do appreciate that support. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.